In April 1920, Japan crossed the samurai borough of Northumbria with less than a shot and one bullet to capture northern Kuril Island. Russian Supreme Minister Kurokin resigned without firing a shot. The northern arch of the island was handed over to Japanese. Other Soviet and Belarusian officials also fled. Not only that, there was no Russian resistance. The Japanese invasion. When 3 Japanese strategic ships approached the largest city of Kor, Alexandrovsk. When 2,000 fully armed Japanese troops were ready to land, half of the entire city's Russian population fled. Arriving at the port. Watching Japanese landings like looking at fireworks. What exactly is this going on? How do Russians who try to live well say that they lose their land? Even their own people have lost the will to resist. Run and watch the fun. To welcome the arrival of Japanese. The answer is 4 words. No managers. In the 1920s, Russia was struggling. The Tsar has just fallen. Red and White Civil War. A Siberian generation of masters are replaced faster than books. To the north, this place belongs by name to Sharon House. You can actually get armed weapons. There are fewer than 200 insurgents in Gorsa. And these people do not listen to displacement. They only listen to themselves. All local Soviet members are some underground parties. There is no armed force at all. In other words, there is no real army here. This is why Japan wants to annex the North Korean island. The evacuation of Nikolaevsk on the opposite coast. That is, the fine street that Chinese are familiar with. In 1918, the Soviet Civil War just broke out. Japan sent troops to occupy for the sake of protecting foreigners. However, by the spring of 1920, Soviet guerrillas are surrounding the great city core. After the assault on Wonder Street City, a massacre began. Many Japanese soldiers and civilians were killed. So Tokyo immediately seized this excuse. Decision to seize North Kuwait Island. Completing goals not accomplished during the Japan-Russian War. So there was the beginning of that scene. The Soviets finally painted the force of an old nose. It has only successively recovered the northern part of Kuwait. First, in 1922, after the Soviet Red Army's strength increased. The Japanese were expelled from the Far East. Mill Street was then reoccupied by the Soviet Union. But what about the north of Kuwait Island? Japan insists not to withdraw its troops. Apart from one strait, it is not good for the Soviet Union to land in a strong offensive. During the Russian war that day, Japan wants the entire island of Kuwait. This time, such a great opportunity. Of course, Japan will not easily spit out the meat to eat in its mouth. Until finally, under strong pressure from the United States, Japan has decided to withdraw its troops on condition. The conditions imposed by Japan are: the Soviet Union must withdraw all oil rights to northern Kuwait, rented to Japan for 50 years. The main coal resources on the island continue to be in Japanese hands. Japan pledges to pay rental dividends on time. May 1925. Japan withdraws troops from northern Kuwait. The border between the two countries has also been restored to a 50-degree north latitude line in Russia's time. On the surface, Soviets recovered land. In fact, the most valuable resources of North Island are still in Japanese hands. The rental agreement was fine from the outset. However, as the relations between Sudan and Japan rapidly turned straight down, Shandong conflict Battle of Nungchon exploded successively. Japan begins delaying leases. The friction between the two sides is constant. Until the end of World War II in 1945, the Soviet Red Army seized the entire island. Japanese residents on the island have been deported back to their countries. Coal fields developed in Japan for 25 years. In addition to the subsequently built paper mills and road network. All of us in one night. It became part of the Soviet Union's pocket. The Far East left a certain economic foundation for Soviet rule.